Gives them 6 more tackles, and here is Morgan, intercepted by Valentine Holmes. Lachlan Coote coming across. Asiata is also there. He turned Coote inside out. Holmes will go 90 metres and scores for the Sharks.
That is Boldo's tears. Chris Kelly, who would you move?
Where do we start? I'm glad Boldo didn't grow up in Egypt times, because that's a terrible looking pyramid. It would have fallen over and collapsed by now. And given that he just Googled the squad and put Matt Ikuvalu in the bottom, and he hasn't been there since half of last year, our pyramid would have fallen.
He's still on the page.
The pyramid would have fallen over. You would have been missing a foundation piece, and it's fallen over.
In amongst all of that, Lats had an awesome story about how awesome this Finau guy was, and then Boldo concludes it with like, yeah, Finucane, how good is he? And everyone's like,
I don't even know who Finau is. I just assumed that Finau was the same guy as Finucane. Is that a different person? I didn't know that. Who the hell's Finau?
Wow.
This is how flawed the tears are. He doesn't even know half the team.
Boldo.
This is where the tears bit comes into it.
I'm listening to the card going, did my stream just like skip 30 seconds or something? Like, no, it was just Boldo just playing along. But anyway.
Maloney is still intercept. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there.
Speaking of Ashley Madison, I thought I was playing a funny trick on a mate of mine when I signed him up to Ashley Madison, right? And so I signed him up, and then what happened was I put his email address in and everything, and he didn't understand why he was getting all these email messages. And then there was the data security breach thing, right? So then his email address was in the data security thing, right? And he didn't know that anyone's been stitched up, but I knew that his email address was in it because I went and checked. And so then I rang this guy every single day for 6 months just to check if his wife at the time had found out that his name was in the Ashley Madison list. I was just relentlessly checking every single day, and after like 3 weeks, like, dude, why are you ringing me every day? 6
That's
months.
horrific, Boldo.
You want to know something funny? It actually was Chris Kelly.
Ennis away. Here they are. Pryor. Can he get it there? Yes, he can. Matt Pryor, an unlikely first try scorer for the Sharks.
Interesting enough that the North Bears are getting that desperate. They're talking about having a Pacific Bears team so they can sort of engulf those Pacific nations and sort of get that ball rolling, where they think they can sort of, take on the Cook Islands and the Samoans and the Tongas and sort of make it their team. So PNG's the go for me.
I'm pretty convinced after that. All right, Franko, what do you got?
Mate, can I rebuttal that, or am I giving it a different answer?
We don't have enough arguments on this podcast. Come on,
you're going to throw out cans, and they're going to play out of cans.
Ever. That is the dumbest idea ever. I know there's this sense of rose-coloured glasses of the fact that there's this third world nation that has rugby league as their national sport. The fact that it's got 2 times the amount of people as New Zealand doesn't matter. Half of them don't have a TV. Dumb idea.
That's what you do. On my understanding.
Townsend now calling the shots with Johnson off. They will go. Gallen field goal. Paul Gallen field goal. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. Away. It's back to Smith. Smith gets it away to Cronk. Cronk's got Korobetti with it. Have they got a chance here? Korobetti's put down. The siren sounds. Cronulla have won it. Cronulla have won it. 14 to 12. You can turn the light out now.
Oof.
Apologies, everyone, for that. I did not realise the 5-minute countdown was on there. Otherwise, we would have started at 5 minutes before kickoff. Oh, gosh. Are we into the regular grind of NRL yet? Or is it still fresh and exciting? Welcome to the ET Stand, the Sharks fans podcast, where we let our talking to the football. We're in all the usual places: YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you guys want us to be. If we aren't there, let us know and we'll try and get there. While listening, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps with everything we do. There's also a Discord channel for fans, and they can chat Sharks and any other topic you like. The link is in the chat, and we'll pop it in the description below. Also, don't forget, if smart chats are still a thing, I think they are. Maybe have to check with Boldo about that. Someone try it out, see if it works. I don't know. Let us know, I guess. They do help with the channel and will certainly get us to focus on whatever it is you want us to talk about. Now, Boldo is busy tonight. He's out searching for homeless kittens to rescue and add to his collection. It's thankless work, but he enjoys doing it. That said, I haven't the heart to tell him that it's not like Pokemon. This episode, we're going to review round 1, preview round 2. CK might want to chat about general NRL news, and off the back of losing Talakai, who's the next greatest risk of losing for another team? Joining me tonight is CK, buzzed and full of energy after a round 1 victory. CK, it seems to be the case these days, but in our busy lives, well, it's the first time I've seen you since in person since the last home game. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on as usual. Just us two running the show, as they say. The patients run the asylum, so we'll kick on.
I'm sure it will be a disaster. It's already missing the side things and the.
I think there's a
little
red button down here somewhere I can press, isn't there?
Just kill it all now before it goes too bad. But yeah, no, mate. Thanks very much for joining me. I think we'll do all right, right? We've got to.
Yeah. We'll steady the ship.
We'll steady the ship. Last Saturday, the Sharks took on the Titans in what was not only Hane's first NRL game as an official head coach, but his first match against the Sharkies as head coach. The result, a resounding victory to the Goodies. Sharkies up 50 points to 10. As I mentioned, CK, you were at the game. How'd you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good to be back there at the home ground, back of the swing of football. It was a nice, we'll say muggy. It wasn't sunny, was it, Franco? It was quite muggy. There was a big storm down south. Yeah, and then we got to the ground and I was like, oh, the humidity was right up. So surprisingly, not too many mistakes in the game for such humid conditions. But, yeah, good to see the 50 get rung up. I think a few of us were getting anxious towards the end that we'd put the queue in the rack and the 50 wasn't going to come up. But, yeah, good to see they sort of did what they need to do against a Titans team that ain't going to do much this season and flex their muscle. I think the scary part, I was telling some guys today that when Ravian scored his second to put up 40, there wasn't much of a murmur in the crowd. It was kind of like, oh, are we going to keep going or is there going to be another points? But it was, yeah, a bit strange. And we sort of got excited, a couple of tries in, some nice lucky tries. And then all of a sudden it was, oh, it's getting kind of boring. But who gets bored about winning? It was great.
It was great. I mean, you mentioned it. How much of that should we be worried about in terms of taking our foot off the throat in the second half? Is that just fatigue in round 1? Is that just complacency? Or is it just let's keep ourselves fresh and ready for the Panthers next week?
Yeah, I think it's a little combination of everything. I think we kind of noticed that we didn't use too many interchanges in that first half. So there was a few more changes going on in the second half. And then, it is round 1. It's humid. It's still those kind of conditions. They're still getting used to an 80-minute match. So, the game was over at halftime, really. We cheered them off as champions like they should be at the first half, at the end of the first half there. And the Titans weren't really throwing much at us. So I can't say we really took a foot off because we went through the motions and then, probably got woken up a little bit with a quick little couple of tries of the Titans and we went, oh, that'll do. Trindle pulled out a 40-20 and scored 2 more. So a combination of everything, I think. And then just maybe they started to have a little eye on this next match next Saturday or this Saturday now.
Fair enough. So how much of that performance, this is a bit of an ugly one. Bit of an ugly one to say. How much of that performance was us and how much of it was who we were playing? Did we come up against a weakened side or a side that's still learning their identity? What can we take out of that, mate?
No, I think we should take in the happiness. There was no injury suspension. There was a couple of little indiscretions that got fined. But yeah, I think that it should be what we were doing. Melbourne did something and they put up a score like we wanted to do. They played Parramatta, who were the preseason champions. The Titans were just second to them as well. So, the two good heavyweight NRL teams put up the heavy score against two teams that probably, I don't know, you put Parramatta in the 8, I didn't. Gold Coast, I don't see them.
There.
Yeah, well, they're considered 50, so they're not going to get to the premiership. But I just think the good teams sort of flex their muscles, and we saw it with Penrith against probably Brisbane, or I said they're going to have a little fall off, but probably still come good towards the end of the season and make the 8. We went through what we wanted to do, was put on a score, played a low team, flexed it. It could have been worse. You could have been, the Dogs everyone fancies for a top 4, if not pushing higher, and went to Golden Point against the Dragons in the last 10 seconds and took the beat. I just think we did what we needed to do in that job.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it.
It's
you
hard.
mentioned
I
the
know what you
crowd.
mean, because you play those lower teams. You're expected to win, and of course we won well. So
It's just so unsharks-like, isn't it? All those ones you're expected to win. It's I know it's bad to say.
I know you're angling at, but it's hard. Yeah,
we are getting better against the teams that we're supposed to win, but it's still the Sharks DNA in me. It's like, oh, these teams we're supposed to beat. I'm more scared of those than coming up against Penrith. You did mention the crowd. It was a bit quiet, I thought. Do you think that the Storm maybe kept everyone away, or the threatening Storm? Because there's a lot of empty seats there, and I kind of expected it to be a bit fuller than that.
Yeah, look, we're playing a Gold Coast team, so I know with these out-of-town Queensland teams, you don't get much of a following or opposition fans. I know the young guy on debut on the wing had a couple of family members there. It was about 30 family members there to fill up the seats. 5:30 kickoff on a Saturday. I'm not sure what's sort of going around the Shy area or sports at the moment with those kind of things, but it was a massive storm, and it had predictions of, on the bomb of heavy rain and possible hailstorms and things like that. And I don't think it scared people away, but we can't hold much more else at the moment in that ground. So subdued, which it normally is against the Cowboys or a Titans, or sometimes I can't put the Wars in that group anymore because they seem to get a huge following no matter where they go. But yeah, those out-of-town Queenslands, you're not getting much of a following turning up on their side of the fence. So it probably was a pro Sharks crowd and got max what we would have got out of them anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Good shout out. Now, last year we struggled to score points close to the line. It was a constant gripe. This game, 7 of the 9 tries were close to the line. Now that includes a couple of soft ones, of course, but it also included a great little play for Nico's first try. We had Burns running through the line, Nico was wrapping around, and Kennedy out the back for a sweep play. This gave Trindle 3 options, not including him going himself or kicking through. It was just lovely to see the formation which something I hope that we get to get down to a fine art. You could also say that I guess Ramian's second try was the same formation with Trindle hitting the runner on this occasion. And then the cherry on top, while slightly different, again, Hines' second try was close enough that it had the opposition jumping on the lead runner, allowing Nico to go through himself. Do you have confidence that we can continue this against a well-drilled side? Is this like the germination of where we want to go?
Yeah, I think I'm glad you mentioned all of them. I think it was even the chorus second try as well was very same. Coming back against the grain, the defensive side sort of set up and the guys coming back inside. All of them were quite similar in that formation. But we also had in the first half our let's go out the back towards the right-hand side and score that way as well on the little kick, and also one to Rami on his first as well. So I was quite excited by it. Look, the proof's going to be in the pudding this week, isn't it? Against a good defensive team up against the Panthers. We're going to see if we can throw that at them. But it felt very much like we did against Canberra as well in that last semi-final. So I can take confidence that our set plays are working and still going along strong. It wasn't like we needed to create our own luck or create pressure. It actually came off in those red zone plays. So, yeah, I'll take a lot of confidence. But like I said, we'll see how we go this Saturday night.
Special mention that one of the close range tries was a grubber through for a result, something we seemed kind of allergic to last season. So don't forget you can still do that, guys. That was awesome. I enjoyed seeing that as well.
Yeah, especially you could tell from me as well. I wish they found KL and Stone Street a little bit more on that left hand side, but that was just personally me wanting a little bit more. But yeah, good to see that the grubber worked in nice. You and I enjoy a great attacking grubber.
Oh, love it. Love it. Well placed grubber. We need more of it. Now, you touched on the Bulldogs. It's a great example. Does a round one performance like that put pressure on us to continue with this sort of form? Or does it relieve all the pressure because it gives us belief and a solid base to work off?
Yeah, I'm more the believer of the solid base. You don't want to be going in, well, we did these things in round one and things we can work on and build on. I think that we did them well and executed them well, and we can still build from there. So you like to think the guys, because they keep talking about the core's been there for a lot of time and Franco's favourite last dance and all those kind of superlatives they like to pull out for our Sharks team at the moment, the cut and paste team list. But yeah, like you want to get those things right in round one and don't have to build on them. Like we're not building on combinations. We're not finding new players who've got to find their feet in the squad. And I think it's just a nice pressure reliever that, playing a lower team round one at home, nice conditions, expected to win, heavy favourites. You got the job done, job done extremely well and build from there going into a Penrith team.
A little bit of proof that what we've been working on in the off season is also going to hold us well for the season ahead.
Yeah, and hopefully a couple of little trick plays left up the sleeve.
I'm sure there's plenty. Not to mention, I think Trindle is a little off the cuff at times as well, so we'll always have that. Unsurprisingly, speaking of Trindle, he got the 6 points. Hines nabbed 4 and Ramian on 2. Does that feel about right to you? I don't really think there was many people would argue against that.
Oh, we had the argument post game. I had Nico 3 and Trindle 2, and I knew as soon as all the media came out during the week, like, damn it, Franco's going to bring it up. He was right, but yeah. Look, I think when we know, as we've seen in the past, when they have these games, when them two complement each other, the machine just keeps going along quite well. When them two are firing, like you said, that off the cuff, but you've also got one of them straightening up or the other one running himself, and it's things like that. It was just. Yeah, look, I could easily give 3 points to Trindle and hard to split with Hines, but from sitting at the park myself, I had to give it to Nico for, a bit of pressure on some of those kicks and scoring a double himself. The one he ran himself was just great to see. That's what we want, a free running Nico. So, yeah, it's probably right. Ramian, I don't know. It's still, I thought it was probably one of his best games in a long time. So happy to give him the 1, but I thought Will Kennedy was outstanding again. Yeah, I thought Will Kennedy was outstanding. I thought he saved that try towards the back that they looked at 15 times in the video ref that they didn't need to, and I thought he was quite solid and strong in diffusing a lot of possible tries as well. So, I'd like to give props to Will Kennedy, but it was definitely our halves this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. It was. I think someone at the ground was sort of mentioning how it was it's hard not to when you've scored 50 points, right, to throw something like this out. But it was one of the few games where all of the spine seemed to be working in cohesion with one another. Everyone was playing on the same page. So that was really good to see. And I think that, we should hopefully expect a bit more of that moving forward because, as you mentioned, they have all played together for a while now. Just another preseason under their belt. And this should be, bread and butter for them. I think they're doing well. Maybe we hit a couple of comments here while they're starting to pile up. We've got Bumblebee Tuna from Discipline Michael. I've got to say the new ats, guys, fix up your names. It's so hard for me. I can't remember who all of you are with your new names. Ashley Williams there, he says, old mate Klein is the whistleblower this Saturday. Yep. We love
Oh, I
Klein.
was going to bring that up just for Ash. I was going to bring that up that we'll get to the team list, but I'll just touch on that from Ash. It is Ashley Klein's the referee, Belinda Sharp is the touch judge, and Chris Butler's the video ref. So we might find ourselves being big Ash Williams fans and joining in. So we'll see.
Absolutely. One disciple, Michael, says his family was in the Sharks game in their new seats, and he was confident after the first minute with their stability and class. Let's test that against the Black Cats. Williams 2.0 says, we've been crying for a team to be ruthless. It was mostly us. Titans missed the kick and we kept our foot on the throat. Happy days. So yeah, I think it was certainly one of those weird ones where, again, because I think the ground was a little bit quiet, and as you sort of said, CK, when we scored, was it our penultimate try, we kind of, there was just a bit of a in the crowd. It wasn't a big cheer. There wasn't really a big, it wasn't the crowd going wild. So it really just sort of fizzed out towards the end there at the ground. I'm sure if I was at home, I would have been absolutely bouncing off the walls.
And it's hard when you put up a good score in the first half and it's to donuts and you're like, well, where would we go from here? Like, we're on track for 60, 70, 80, and we could have won 30-10 and a couple of drop balls on those set plays or guys going over the shoulders and cutting out the Katoa and he misses the catch. But all those things just stuck. I noticed there was a big cheer for the Tongan fishermen getting over in the corner and celebrating with the crowd over there. So they get to see a nice little try in the corner as well. So yeah, it was good excitement.
Lovely little moment. Like I said on the debrief, I'm glad that we were the ones scoring off a short kickoff and it wasn't against us, because I've been waiting for that to happen since the new rule came in. SJD comes up with a good one. He says, "What's better, 40-0 or 50-10?"
Oh, that's a tough one, because again, we were 40-0, weren't we? We were 40. Was it 40-0 at that stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the 50 is kind of nice, but I'm glad in asking that question we didn't end 40-10. I'm glad we went on for a couple of tries at the end. So I know Boldo was screaming for and against, and you tried to start him on it too, Franco, to try and get over the storm and keep the Eels somewhere where they should be. But yeah, like I think 40-0 would have been impressive, but I don't think it really matters in the scheme of things. Like, they'd probably be disappointed they let those tries. I gave a golf clap because the young guy on debut for the Titans scored a try. So little highlight for him. I thought the one before that was, lucky go happy. So you can't really complain about it. What about yourself?
I kind of feel as though, I think you nailed it, mate, when you sort of said it's good that we went on to 50 after they scored, because there was at one point there in the second half where you could have turned around and said, well, we lost the second half, 10-0.
I did say that at one stage.
Yeah.
I said we were losing the second half.
So, that certainly would have put a sour taste in your mouth at the end of the game if it ended up at 40-10. I think if you're going to say that same sort of thing, or that same similar analogy, we'll maybe reduce the margins a little bit, but say 40-0 or 30-6. I think in that scenario, or 30-0 versus 40-6. I think in that scenario, you'd rather 30-0 than 40-6, because you want to keep that donut. But that 50 number, there is a little bit of prestige to that 50. That is a bit of a milestone number. Both kudos to the team that scores it, but also a bit of a hammer blow to the team that let it in. So getting close to 50 but not hitting it is almost a letdown, I think. So
that's for you. You hate that.
It's just one of those things. I reckon that the team, when they saw that 50 was possible, is sort of where they went for it, because I reckon that's what the 40-20 was from Trindle. He was like, well, we only need one more try. Let's do this. If at that point in the game we were 30 something, I doubt he's jumping out a dummy half and hoofing a 40-20. But that's my thought. Yeah, if it wasn't 50, if the margins were lower, I'd rather keep them to nothing. But to say that we hit the 50 mark, I'll cop the 10 points.
But the same thing when the game's over like that. You think teams would start throwing the ball around or trying those couple of things and maybe shifting away from their systems. I think that was the more impressive part was they stuck to their guns both defensively and in attack. There was nothing out of the ordinary. There was no weird shifts. There was no let's try this. Like it was pretty much the same way it was the whole 80 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. We were definitely well drilled, I felt. Latino says, couple of good looking roosters right there. Well, one shark and one rooster, I guess. Yep.
Go
Roosters
the
fanboy
Waz.
right there.
Go the Waz.
Ashley Williams says there's no local sports on at the moment.
Yeah, maybe it was just that
Sorry, mate.
alluring storm hanging. I think maybe it was just that storm hanging around then.
Okay, yep. One disciple, Michael, says he would prefer 40-0, and Williams 2.0 says he'll take the 50-10. There's just something about 50. Oh, look at that. Same page. I like it. 2.0. Thanks for backing us up. My top AU says up the Sharkies. Craig Grillan. Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Craig. I reckon Ramian will be the next one to leave. Plenty of clubs would want him. Well, we're certainly going to hit that soon, mate. So we'll get onto that one. My top AU says, this reminds me of the start to our 99 season where we thrashed the Tigers first round and made a statement and then beat Brisbane in round 2, I think. 99, I think we had a bit of a run. Didn't we win 8 or 9 games in a row there, I think, from round 1 onwards? So that was a big season for us. Absolutely. I'll take that if we can do that again. And one disciple, Michael, says he's not making any bold statements after round 1, but far out, we look hot. We certainly looking good. And then Cecil here says he'll take the 50 because Premiers got 0. Yeah, that was true. Are you a Queenslander, Cess? I'm not sure. And then Muzz says go Sharks. So yeah, good stuff, guys. It was certainly a great round 1. I think we've sort of mentioned it in the past, and you know what? I'll probably mention it again come round 1 next year. But at the moment, round 1s are still a Sharks hoodoo. So to see a victory round 1, I will gladly take that. I think that's pretty awesome stuff. Monkey off the back to begin with as well, right? Now, I know the media will be banging on about the Roosters versus the Bunnies. However, this Saturday sees the Sharks face off against Panthers for round 2 in what should probably be billed as the match of the round. Is there any other better match this weekend, mate? What's better? Hey?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of eyeballs are going to be on that Roosters South game. So, look, we're going out to Bathurst. It's going to be have a little, country football feel to it. It should be a bit of a setup. Unfortunately, we're just not in those conversations at the moment. I just think because, on the back of Penrith playing Brisbane, it was Penrith versus the reigning premiers. And then next week, there's going to be a grand final rematch as well. So, unfortunately, we're out to Bathurst. We're not on Channel 9. We are on the better broadcaster KO. And knowing our luck, Franco, we'll probably have Dan Ganane commentating on it as well. So, yeah, I think it should be the match of the round. But in saying a Franco in the green room, we are the second highest underdog for the week. So, you think we wound in a little bit more, but interesting.
Well, yeah, you mentioned Bathurst. Now, I'm not sure you can use the results of a single sample to call it a happy hunting ground. However, we played Penrith there once in 2014 for a 16-18 victory. It saw Gagan bag a double, Tagatese and Michael Gordon also bagging a meat pie. Gordon was pretty off with the boot that day, but it also featured a young, promising up-and-coming hooker in Michael Leisha. And look, 2014 was a particularly bad year, so if we could win it then, well, surely, I'll let you guys fill in the blanks. That said, Penrith are a formidable side and bring with them an aura that we need to overcome before we can even consider beating them on the park. They've won the last 5 and 9 from the last 10. Our only victory being a 1-point thriller in 2021. We were up 18-0 and then were chased down to 18-all before a Sean Johnson field goal in the 78th minute. I mean, ignoring that terrible record, the last time we beat the Panthers, our halves were Matt Moylan and Sean Johnson. We had Will Chambers and Aaron Woods in the team, and we were coached by Josh Hannay. I mean, that's crazy to think about, isn't it? Huh? Far out. Oh,
That's crazy. That's craziness. It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It used to be a time where we had a bit of wood over Penrith for a little run there, and it just
we did.
Yeah, like you think your 2015, your Black Cat 2016, all those kind of times we had a little bit of a run against them for a while. I remember going to Penrith as a bit of a happy hunting ground, but yeah, it's been a long time.
Even after all that and all of Panthers' success lately, head to head, I think we're still one up on them. So if they win this one, they'll level the ledger. But mate, CK, surely our team is better off today than what it was back in 2021. Take us through the team, mate.
Oh, you want me to go through the team? Well, it's a cut and paste,
yes.
and it's a cut and paste bonanza. But you just harped me back to those previous matchups. I remember Charlie Staines getting 4 tries on debut against us at Cogra Oval, and when was it? 2 years ago when we were flying high, and Penrith came into the Sharks and absolutely walloped us. So it hasn't been a great time, but yeah. We'll go with the cut and paste of Will Kenny at the back, Katoa, Ramian, Iro, Stone Street, Trindle, Hines, Fanua Blake, Captain Brayley, Hazleton, Nikora, Burns, Calhoun, Talakai, Rudolph, Kafusi, Ueli, Puru, and Chris Vayela with Coach Fitzgibbon.
And now, that's our team. We'll just ramble straight through into the Panthers team. Hit us up. What are we up against?
Yeah, so saying last week it was 26-0 against the reigning premiers up there in Brisbane and didn't give Brisbane a chance. So they go with Edwards at the back, Jenkins still on the wing, Alamotti, Case McLean and Brian To'o, with Tailagi in the halves with partnering Captain Cleary, Leota, Kenny, Lindsay Smith, Isaiah Papali'i, Luke Garner and Isaiah Yeo, Jack Cogger on the bench with Billy Phillips, Scott Sorensen, Kalani Going, Isaac Targo, and Freddie Lussick with Coach Ivan Cleary. So watched that game with a bit of interest to see what would happen. I thought maybe Brisbane would put up a bit of a fight, going out onto your ground, reigning premiers, but it just seems they're in a bit of a lull. I watched their World Club Challenge, and it was pretty much the same in this game, a la without the comeback. So Penrith didn't really do too much. They were really good defensively, but Brisbane didn't throw too much in attack. There was a lot of drop ball from them, a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors in their own half, and the Panthers just, as they do, capitalise on them. And a bit of an aerial game from Tom Jenkins on one side, and he had Alamotti and Brian To'o as the ground attack on the opposite side. So it was just the Penrith workhorse machine as what you expect, and just didn't let up.
Yeah, they seem to go through the emotions and just take advantage of all the dropped ball from the Broncos. That said, Panthers weren't perfect. So, I think we should maybe hope that they're a little bit like that and then hope that we're a little bit like we were, because we had obviously a really good completion rate against the Titans. And that's one of the things that we've spoken about, I think the last few times we played the Panthers, is we need to have really good completion rate, because we've seen it time and time again. That dropped ball, that penalty inside our half generally leads to Panthers scoring a try in the next set, or at least mounting pressure. So I guess in that vein, what do we need to do to beat them, mate?
Yeah, it's going to take a lot. It's still going to take what we did against the Titans without letting up our foot off the gas. So, look, you can't. A lot of rules now are changing the fact of, like, if we can kick towards the corner and turn those guys around and maybe not let Edwards come into play, they're just, like you said, we just can't have those mistakes against them. I wish the judiciary did their job and Cleary out for 2 weeks, and I thought this could have been the chance we would have had against them, but obviously it's not. Look, their benches are just full of workhorses as well. We know Scotty Sorensen, a couple of young guys there. So maybe when those sort of forwards get turned over, it could be interesting. But wow, you want to see a match of Leota and Fanua Blake, don't you? Like them two guys just going at it. So Papa Lee had quite a few mistakes, but he was running those short lines that we like to run with the Cora. So he's the danger on the fringe there. Hopefully we just hold our ends up. I'm quite confident now in our defence, the way we've been playing for a number of years. So we can hold that steady, then we should be fine.
Yeah, it's just making sure that weight of possession isn't there and keeping an eye on Cleary with his kicks, although I do feel as though a lot of the short kicking game at the line was more Luai's responsibility, and with him gone, it's maybe not as much of a threat anymore. Going back to our team, mate, who needs to step up? Who needs to take it to Panthers? Obviously, we've got AFB, you mentioned him. He had an absolute bang-up game against the Titans, but it can't all be on him, can it?
No, it's definitely going to be through our middles and our edges as well, because it's going to be played in the trenches. This game's going to be a knock 'em down, drag 'em out kind of style. It's going to be played between the 40-meter lines, and whoever blinks first is going to be crushed. So I think that's the way it's going to have to be. It's going to be the whole forward pack, hunting as a pack and going up as a pack. Like I said, their bench is a little light on, so we can bring our big guys on in Oregon and Toby and Ueli, because Franko loved Ueli's first touch of the game on the weekend. It was probably our only blemish. So if we don't do that, then we should be fine. But that's where it's going to be. It's going to be through those middles. If Trindle can find his kicks like he was on the weekend. But, Bathurst, it's a bit of a funny time because it's round 2. Normally they play a Saturday night game out there throughout the middle of the season where it's a bit more dewy, a bit more wet. Panthers haven't been happy hunters out there a lot. They play a few games out there, and I've noticed our fan base might be out there a little bit stronger than what Penrith might be. So hopefully that works in our favour, and they're just sick of seeing Penrith go out there all the time, and they want to get on the Sharks.
Now, remind me, mate, have you been out to Bathurst for a match, or is it just the racing?
Just the racing. I've only been out there for the V8, so I haven't been out there for a match. I haven't seen a ground game out there at all, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Now
I know what the town's like.
Yep. I guess with that in mind, are we going to walk out there with the same team, 50 point on the Titans, same bench rotation, same structure, same time? Is there going to be anything there, maybe at the back of the coach's mind, that you might try a bit differently, or do you expect the same game plan?
No, I expect the same game plan. I heard Nico today. It was a bit of a funny Instagram post he had with who's more exhausted, him or his girlfriend. She was working from home and he was at training all day. So he said there was a couple of hours of training, including video work. We went for about 2 hours in the team meeting, into gym sessions, into field work, into wrestling. So I don't think they're going to leave any stone unturned. Look, we pushed them close last year in Vegas. That was round 1. Like we were probably the better team and just didn't finish off that match. So we know what we're coming up against. We've done it before. I think they'll be a bit more maybe up for it. But then again, do we write off the round 1, round 2 sort of scenario? Well, it's only round 2. But I think we know what we're expecting at this thing. We've played them in prelims. We've played them in big matches as well. So I think we want to get that monkey off the back. We want to beat this team and get everyone to start looking at us.
I guess the bitter pill in your scenario there, though, is, we almost beat them last year in round 1, but then we saw them lose to the next 3 or 4 matches. So probably should have beaten them because they weren't quite up to scratch at that time of the year. So even a rusty Panthers, we're not good enough to beat. That said, look, I don't want to jump ahead, because you know what? It's one of those things that always softly, but we did well against the Titans. We've spoken a really positive game in this preseason. The season launch, everyone was buzzing. I feel as though you can sort of see people that believe in themselves. I sort of feel as though that is now what most of our players are like. They're all sort of riding that wave. And I think coming against the Panthers team, I think we're going to maybe show them something that they haven't seen when they've come up against us for a little while yet. What's your predictions, mate? Who's going to get this and why?
Look, like I said to you, we were the second biggest outsiders this weekend. We're actually paying $3.36 to the Panthers $1.33, which I think is outrageous. I think it's a bit silly that we're going to be contending for top 4 with them as well. I just don't think they have much coming off their bench. Their starting 13's quite settled, and they've got Sorensen, but the other guys are sort of fill-in pieces as well. So, look, for me, I think this will go around right down to the wire of a 2 to 4 point game, if not a golden point. So I'll happily take us and be proven wrong, but I'll go in with a bit of confidence and just say we'll get the chocolates. But it's going to be a 16-14 game. I don't think we're going to see any higher score than that.
SJD here says, I know we never beat these guys, but $3.36 for us to win Saturday seems a bit disrespectful. I mean, it's form, right? Form guides, start that, and then we'll see the late money getting closer to the match. But you mentioned field goal. If it gets to that,
I'll put in a comparison in the Dogs. The biggest outside of this wing are the Eels at $3.90, and Brisbane are $1.26. So they're actually shorter than Penrith to beat the Parramatta Eels, one team coming off a 50-point conceding, and the other team losing 26-0. So make that make sense.
Yeah, ridiculous. Absolutely. Who's going to kick the field goal, mate, if we need one?
Oh, it's Nico for sure. The clutch Nico.
Nico?
Yeah.
Are we going to plan it? Is it going to be good?
We've practiced this enough. We've had that many scenarios. We've done this. We've practiced this. We've had that many shots at it, that many chances. You're starting to give me PTSD nightmares again. We've done
everyone's gonna be where they need to be. It's going to be the right tackle and the right spot in the field at the right time. Yeah. All right, good. I want to see it. Let's do it. Oh, gosh. Sess answers my earlier question by saying he's a Queensland resident, but blue till he dies. 2.0 says, we have the team to pip the Panthers, but until we beat them, nobody will back us. I'd love to have confidence this week. I just can't based on Penrith's performance last week. And then
I think Penrith went into that game against Brisbane with a bit of a chip on their shoulder and something to prove. Really,
yeah.
I think they were highly up for that game.
Yeah, they probably should have been in the grand final, really, and yeah, probably a bit dirty on that one. There's a few people agreeing with 2.0, sort of saying, not really confident this week. And then 2.0 comes back and he says, most memorable win for me was 2017 semi Chad field goal for the win after they charged back in the second half. And then number 1, Disciple Michael says, to be there at the end requires everyone to be their best. That's very cliche, Disciple Michael, but yes, I agree, especially against the Panthers. 2.0 says, they'll target Tricky more to make Nico kick a lot more. Now would be a very good time for Brayley to develop his kicking game. Yeah, 2.0, not a bad shout out. Look, develop it is one thing. Maybe the confidence to use it is another. We have seen him sporadically in the past put on a good boot, but certainly one of those things that he doesn't use very often. So maybe it's a case of having a KPI of 1 kick per game and just see how he goes. I don't think this week is the one for him to start taking charge with the boot though. Disciple Michael says, Coach Cleary is all class and will find a way to hold us back. Can Funky Gibson do the same? So then we've got 2.0 putting in his prediction, Panthers 26-16, and he says it hurts to write that. Sharkcast, g'day Sharkcast, says Sharks by 7. Thanks for the chat. And then Harley says the Sharks side to take on the Panthers in Bathurst. They look as they look to defeat Penrith for the first time since 2021. That's right, Harley. We certainly chatted through that. Now, I give Fox Sports a hard time for regarding stats. I was just looking
at Penrith and Brisbane stats last week, but you go.
Yeah, I've done it in the past, and I will probably do it again in the future. But I've got to give them credit where credit due. There's a couple of interesting ones unearthed by them, as seen on their site. Stone Street has 3 games to score a double. If he does, he breaks Alex Johnson's record for most doubles in their first 20 games. It's a bit of a wishy-washy stat. I don't know why 20 games is the marker, but that's what they've gone with. Probably where Alex scores his next double. But still, it's a fun one, and I know we've got a few Stone Street fans here, so worth shouting out. However, there is a better one. Since 2024, Braden Trindle has the second most try involvements. That's including tries, assists, and contributions, with 104 of them. He's behind Tedesco on 115. We should probably give Fox Sports credit for picking 2024 and assume they didn't just pick a random year, because that is Trindle's first full year with his spot in the halves cemented. Not bad for the little guy. And for those interested, Hines is apparently on 86. So well done, Fox Sports. Really enjoyed reading those little bits of data. That was a nice one. Trindle, a lot of try involvements, and if back half of last year and last weekend was anything to go by, he's going to have his fingerprints all on our success this season, I think. That's not to say that Nico won't. I just think he's also going to be, up there in the faces of the opposition and doing a really good go of it. Now, I think, look, I don't want to talk about the Panthers match too much more, because I'm going to talk myself around in circles. I'm going to talk about how we can win it, and then I'm going to go, no, we can't win it, because now I'm being too confident. So I'm just going to move on. You mentioned the Eels, you mentioned the Broncos, their results. Do you want to let's just have a quick chat about the rest of the round, mate? Eels, false dawn, Eels and Titans, big preseason guys.
Interesting with the Eels, they scored first in the first couple of minutes, and obviously Jermaine Hopgood got sin bin in the third minute, I believe, of the match. So it was the second quickest sin bin down there in Melbourne. Of course, Big Nelson owns that record, so you can't beat those kind of records. But yeah, to see a sin bin and Melbourne just going their normal flex down there as a round one specialist. You talked on us being terrible at it, but obviously Melbourne are the round one specialists. They haven't lost under Craig Bellamy, and to put on 52 was quite outstanding, because I thought a lot of people talked up the Eels. I sort of said they wouldn't lose by that much, but it was a bit of a shock to see that. So, and then you went into Friday night, obviously the Warriors against the Roosters, and the Wars just hit the accelerator button and knocked off the Roosters and beat them around the park. So, it was a good game to watch, and a few things for the Roosters to have a think about going into their big rival match this week against South. So I didn't catch Raiders Manly after we left the ground. I don't know if you did, Franco, or catch any highlights or anything like that, but I didn't see that game at all.
Yeah, I was only able to watch the highlights on that one. It looked a good match. I'm kind of feeling a little bit justified in me saying I think the Raiders are going to have a good season. Not to say that was a benchmark by any standards, but I think that they've proven themselves that they can still win a tight match, which seems to be sort of their MO the last couple of seasons. Do the Roosters turn this around, mate, or is it going to be waiting around for them to change their roster a bit in the mid-season?
I think they're going to turn it around. I think there was a few things to work on with in the halves. I think Walker had his few rush of the blood moments too early and a few six again in the moments, and Cherry's got to find his spot. So I think the Wars has choked him out of that game, and the Wars did what they do best in New Zealand and played the conditions a bit moist over there, and the Roosters didn't have an answer. But you sort of spoke on the Raiders there, but did they have a bit of a fade out as well again, mate? Was that a bit of a, went they up 28-14 or something like that and had a bit of a fade?
Like I said, could have been
74th and 75th minute tries and things like that. Could have been
a little bit of ill discipline maybe. I think, well, like I said, I'm only going off the highlights. I don't want to analyze a game I didn't watch, but you know what? If the tag sticks, sure, they had a fade.
Yeah. And then, we spoke on our game winning 50-10, and I thought the Rabbitohs were a lot better team than the Dolphins were, and only won 40-30. It was interesting. Boldo would have loved it. The Dolphins took the 2 with 10 seconds to go to make it 40-30 instead of taking the tap. So interesting ending to that game, but I think the players just had enough. There was couple of high shots, and they're like, that'll do. Let's just take the kick. And it was expected to be some massive thunderstorms there, and it stayed dry. So they got 70 points up there, and I was a happy punter. But I was happy to be sitting in the old Paragon Hotel at Circular Quay there watching the game, and because I wanted to catch the F1, so it was actually the team in down in Sydney. So snuck off to the pub with my old man and watched the F1s there, and then as that finished and the Rabbitohs Dolphins game, I had to listen to some 20-something-year-old talk out the Rabbitohs. This was their year, and I was like, mate, you couldn't even name your three halfbacks at the moment. So I had to move to another chair because it was going to get right into it. So yeah, the Rabbitohs were the better team, but the score line didn't help them at all.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because the Dolphins certainly have had a bit of talk about them this season and a little bit of buzz. So to see the Rabbitohs come out and do sort of, let's say, what most people expected them to do last season under Bennett, is just be a well-drilled side. So he's maybe got his team fit and healthy and doing what he needs them to do. So that could be an interesting watch this space. Just a last little touch on the Warriors. Is it a false dawn? Is it just, again, who they were up against, or is there a bit of hope there for the Wars?
No, I think there's a bit of hope. It's like a lot of teams. I put the Rabbitohs in that, so you just spoke on them being healthy. I don't think they've got much under the surface is what my Rabbitohs worry is not putting them in the 8. Is they're just, we know Latrell doesn't get through a whole season. Campbell Graham was back to his best, but, they still haven't really got a halves, established 7 there yet. Their 9 is sort of learning still as well, and they got White out the centres, but we know Latrell can't finish the season. Cody Walker's pushing 40. We don't know if Wayne's going to last the season. He's pushing 80 as well. But, yeah, I think with the Wars it's the same. It's just whether they can continue that momentum when they come over to Australia and Sydney and play those consistent grind-out games, whether they've learnt those lessons from that. But Tanner Boyd was unbelievable. I'm a big fan of him and thought he had a great game. So depends if he gets shifted out for our man Metcalf or if he continues on.
Yep, fair enough. 2.0 comes in after hearing the Fox stats. He says, Goat Street record, ? I reverse my predictions. He'll get a hat-trick this week. Sess then says 18-6 at halftime, 24-18 full-time, up the Sharkies. And then we've got Frank Kuhlman. He says, any of you lads going to Bathurst? He's going. He'd love to share a beer. Well, I'm not, mate. CK's not. I'm pretty sure Lats is working, and Boldo, I don't think he's going either. So the short answer is no, mate. But hey, anyone in the comments here, if you're going to Bathurst, let us know. Have a shout out. Maybe some of you guys can catch up and have a bit of a yarn. That would be pretty cool fun, I reckon. It wouldn't be a bad trip to go out to Bathurst for a game of footy. Now, I mentioned it at the top. We aren't going to talk about Talakai. Okay, I think we're not. I promise. I hope we're not. We're not going to talk about Talakai. Does that mean
we're not going to talk about him playing centre or
we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about his best position on the field. We're not going to talk about how awesome a game he had against the Raiders. Absolute devastating runs. We're not going to talk about how he is the crucial utility. We're not going to talk about the cheat code. We're not gonna be talking about any of that. That's done. He was awesome. We're just going to have to enjoy him while we can. But what we are going to talk about is who's next. Is his signing the bursting of the dam? It's something that can be a little bit quiet during the off season, but now that the season has begun, they're all in the shop window. And if we keep performing the way we hope we do, there's sure to be clubs knocking and media talking. They're already asking the questions, as you said, CK, the changing of the guard, the last dance, it's already up there. But honestly, from the players taking the field this weekend, we've got Kennedy, Katoa, Stone Street, Ramian, Burns, Peru, both of them, Beryl, Ueli, and Rudolph. They're all off contract. They're all showing their wares. They're all hoping for either a renewal or someone to come knocking. I mean, that's a lot of players. That's 10 players out of 19 named, right? So it's a big thing to think about. Now, I guess, you're also not ignoring them, but Tapua and McInnes are also off contract. I guess to start with, who are we at most risk of losing there, CK?
I think
And
the
while you think
way
about it, I'll give you a little bit of a definition of risk, I suppose. So there's the risk of someone we want to keep going, but then there's also the risk of, and there's a bit of crossover here in a Venn diagram scenario. There's the risk of someone we need to keep going because they're in a vital position that we don't have as much depth as we do in, say, other spots. So what are we looking at here? Where's the risk? Who are we at risk of losing? What might hurt us the most?
Look, for me, and it's probably some people disagree, but for me, I still think Kennedy's still producing his best football. Unless another option comes knocking or another team comes knocking with a bigger offer, I think he's our go-to guy to stay out there. I don't think he's put a foot wrong. He's a good link in the chain. I don't think there's anyone else knocking the door down to push him out of the way. If there was murmurs that Ison was playing the house down and things like that, you'd probably go, you know what? Or if your main Stewart was staying out of trouble and maybe coming across, then maybe there's things like that. Maybe if Pappenhausen decided to step out of retirement, then you'd sort of look at that. But I think he's the one I'd want to keep and probably secure. There's also whether you go the youth policy or you stay the true. It sounds like Toby's shopping around whether there's anything that's going on with that and whether he actually gets a better contract like Talakai. I don't know. But I'm sure there's a lot of negotiations going on behind the scenes. It's one of those things where, like you said, if one goes, another one goes, and it sort of causes a chain reaction. But we just spoke on a Penrith team. I think, they've lost quite a few players, but kept the massive core and are still pumping along. And I think that's what we need to really emulate is let's keep a core strength of this team and try and plug in little pieces as we go. So, look, we know players are going to move on. We don't want them to move on. We didn't want to lose Royce Hunt, and he's not getting much playing time over at the West Tigers. So you never know, these guys might come and return on the back end of that. So it just depends what gets offered out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, the dam breaking is a scenario of Katoa and Talakai are friends. Good fishing over there in Perth. One person signs at the Bears. You're now not over there on your own if you think to sign with them. So you've got someone over there who you're acquainted with and can have a beer with or a fish with, and it's not as daunting a move in that scenario. So that's certainly one of the theories behind the breaking of the dam. Is you sort of said Kennedy. I like that. I sort of spoke up for Kennedy after the Titans match. I think he's done a really good job there. A lot of people were talking about him not trailing up the middle. He seemed to have addressed that by doing a lot of that in the Titans match. But we didn't sign him till the off season. We just sat on him all year long. So I wouldn't say he's really at risk of going, right? I think he's probably another player that, while we should probably sign him, I kind of agree with you there. I don't think we're in a rush to sign him. I think, maybe if a club comes knocking, he would come to us and we could negotiate a deal. And I still think we'd probably get him at a reasonable rate. Is there anyone we should be looking to sign ASAP? Or in this instance, like Kennedy, are we just happy to let natural attrition play its role? Just see who performs well. And if they do well, then we're happy to fight other clubs for them? Or is there someone where, like, you know what, they're kind of crucial to the club. They're the longer we wait, the more they're going to cost us. Let's lock them up now.
Yeah, it's probably, to me, it's probably the two wingers in Stone Street and Katoa. It's probably Katoa's the one I'd like to really lock down for a few years because I don't see him going somewhere else. You obviously got the next team after the Bears in PNG coming in 2028 as well, which opens up more doors, bigger checkbooks and things like that. I don't think anyone's really sniffing around those guys. Like, there used to be a running joke of wingers just players that hang around footballers. So I don't think anyone's screaming for Stone Street, and I don't really see anyone going for Katoa. And I could see him, he's that happy of a bloke that he's not really going to be chasing big coins somewhere else. So they're the guys. You want Stone Street because very tall winger, very fast, ticks all the boxes for Franko. local junior, tall and fast. They're the ones you want. Literally lives next to the field, so it's one of those guys you want to keep, and you can have him for the next 10 years out there on the wing. So it just comes down to if someone else comes sniffing and what we can offer and what we can't.
Probably can't keep both of those though, knowing that Mulatalo's signed long term. There is rumours about Katoa going to Perth, hence me sort of name dropping them. That wasn't pie in the sky stuff, but I do think Katoa is a bit of a special player as well, and criminally underrated at least outside of Shark circles. I think he's a really, really good player and adds a lot to the team. Certainly notice it when he's not there. I guess you sort of look at that. We heard rumours last year as well about Burns potentially going. He's been a bit of a project player, but he doesn't get a place in first grade. If it comes to dollars and cents, because it's all about money in the end, right? We get some of these players cheaper than others. I think, we probably can't keep Burns for big coin. If we can maybe a little bit of an upgrade, hang on to him, I think that'd be worth it. But we have signed a bunch of promising young back rowers who are also looking for a first grade spot. He might be one that's squeezed out. Ueli and Rudolph, not to mention Tapua, that's a big part of our engine room to lose those guys. And I think Rudolph comes with a little bit of larrikinism and camaraderie about him. He's kind of the Heinington into Fafita, into Rudolph, right? And I think there's no one from an outsider looking in that can really see anyone at the Sharks that carries that torch at this stage. So I think he's performing well, especially now that he's over his injury. He's had a injury-free off season. He's probably one I'd be looking to just sort of say, maybe, don't know how much he's asking, but let's be a little bit hush-hush on the shopping myself around discussion and let's have a chat. Let's see what we can do to keep you, because I think, I've certainly mentioned in the past that I like Ueli. I think he's a good player that has a bit of a ramp up through the season. But really, if you're going to have to pick, I think you'd want to keep Rudolph in that engine room, and just for the camaraderie itself, right? I think that's a very vital part that we've seen in a successful culture. But would you be excited to see a changing of the guard?
Look, I think that the hardest part is, it's the end of AFB's contract you really got to look forward at, isn't it? Like it's what's going to happen at the end of that, what we missed, because I think Kafusi being so young and sort of getting those dollars for cents is quite hard. Billy Burns, you spoke of, a big fan of him now. He was a project player. He was given an opportunity because he wasn't getting to St. George and he wasn't really sort of performing down here as well. So I think he's gone outstanding. Whether that's talked him into higher money at another club, then that's up to the other clubs to do. But it just depends. I think we've got our players at a right point where our old guards are sort of like, if you're a new club or you're a Titans, do you want those guys to be leaders to come into your club on the back end of their careers, or do you want to sort of, if they want a new opportunity, to go somewhere else? Toby's originally a Queensland guy up there on the Sunshine Coast, but he's living on the water at Cronulla in a pretty good spot, and he's pretty happy here. He's probably shopped around, thought there's not much out there, and we'll just go from there. So
he was a bunny before he went up to the Sunshine Coast, though. So
I know he's happy in Cronulla, but he's not going to be scared to go, if Gold Coast or North Queensland.
Travel around.
He's probably a player that if you're Michael Chalmers running the PNG Hunters and you want a bit of PR, he's probably someone you go and grab as an old guard player. He's probably someone that's going to promote the hell out of your new team, and probably happy to live in the compound of PNG.
Yeah, fair point. I think it's an interesting one, because there is that bit of excitement with change and new players, and it, the same old can get a bit boring. And I think there's been a lot of Sharks fans I've chatted to who just sort of go, it's the same team, we haven't signed anyone, and it's, what are we doing? We're not going to do any better. It's like, well, they keep improving.
I told you 3 years
training.
ago when we started doing this podcast, like 3 years ago, that sorry, it's boring and there's no off the field drama and there's nothing to talk about. We're doing so well. Like it's kind of hard to get up and change the subject, but that's what it is. If you look 3 or 4 years ago, we didn't have Billy. Tommy was only sort of coming in. Oregon was unknown, and now they're just stable parts of our team. So, I totally get it, but it's not broke, so why are we going to change it? If you're making top fours and prelims every year, then let's go with it.
Absolutely. It's certainly that element of, careful what you wish for, because, pull out all the hard work and try for something greener. You might not get it. You might come up with a busted DCE.
Or you're a Cowboys team. They got the same players. They've got Tom Lolo on a 10-year contract. They got Drinkwater. They got Dearden. They got the same sort of players, the same back rowers, the same wingers, and they just ain't getting it done.
Yeah,
we could be in
that's
that
true.
situation.
Yeah, it could be the same team for no new results. And I think it's normally, though, it's one of those things where players come and go. Rotation is normal. Like you said, the Panthers have gone through a whole heap of teams, even though they've continued success. You just have to hope that the coach and Mooney, in our scenario, get the players that they want, whether it's keeping the guys or adding new blood. We've seen the club manage to keep the group together pretty well for so long. It's just hard to see a world where we lose some players that we aren't invested in. So I think, we're probably going to get the guys we want to keep. We've probably got an idea in mind of who's going to come up through the grades, or who we're whispering to from another team that we think can add something that we don't already have. Time will tell. Money is tight, but hopefully, the pieces all fall into place. And I got to say, trust in Mooney. He's done a pretty good job, and he we'll give Flano a bit of credit as well, but Mooney sort of built that premiership winning team. So let's see him do it again, I reckon.
I'd rather be in these discussions and this predicament than, you're the Brisbane Broncos and your halfback's retiring and the other guys walked out for next season on the back of winning premiership. Their biggest player has just gone, I'm going to go to a different team. I'd rather be in this scenario than people just going, you know what, I want to go somewhere else.
It's the same as everyone, wanting to get rid of Noddy. Get rid of Noddy, he's useless, get rid of him, we don't want Noddy. And then we spent, 5 years trying to find a new consistent halfback for the club. And it was just one of those revolving doors of people that just weren't quite right. And I'm not saying that Noddy was the answer, but he was certainly better than anything we had over those next few years. It is fun to speculate. There's one thing I can agree on, and I think you were with me, is here. Just whoever is staying, or whatever contract is being discussed or whatever, just let's stay focused on the goal. We're all here to win a comp, guys.
Yeah, so, pump out the cliche. We'll worry about that in the off-season with my manager. I'll worry about that stuff.
Correct. You get a ring. Go, if you sign with the Bears or you sign with the Titans or whatever, take a ring with you. That's what you want to do. Talk about the good times at the Sharkies.
That's how you earn the money.
That's how you earn the money, exactly. Now, Zeke, anything else you want to touch on, mate, before we wrap this up?
That was about it. I noticed in our notes the admin lady added there's an artist put out the famous E.T. and Gallon mural out there at Bathurst on the Oxford Hotel. So good to see a bit of love being spread out there, and the iconic picture lives on of E.T. and Paul Gallen having a tear after the premiership in 2016. So
I don't think any Sharks fan's going to get sick of that image, right?
No, never.
No, never. Absolutely.
I should have got that as a tattoo instead.
I'm surprised you didn't.
There's still plenty of space.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. That collage will grow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. 2.0 comes in here. He says, love your work, CK. I'm pretty sure that was referring to you saying we need to get Stone Street signed up. And he also says that Burns will get signed by Fitz. He's too good to let go. Again, it all comes down to money and opportunity, right? If he's getting bumped aside by Wilton, then maybe he wants a starting gig somewhere. But I agree with you, 2.0. Burns is pretty important to us. I think he's a really good player, not just a depth player. I think he's really good. Now, I'm going to say it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's one of those things that really does help the channel. It helps the algorithms, the bots, the AIs, all of those guys working behind the scenes to say, hey, you might like this. So give us a like, give us a subscribe. That's really good. If you missed us live, just comment below. If you want to talk Sharkies through the week, jump on our Discord channel. It's down there in the comments somewhere. Find it, click it, join in. It'll be fun. You can say whatever you want, Sharkies. No one will bark at you or be upset. We'll be back live after the Panthers game with our debrief episode full of cheers or tears. We'll soon find out.
And not the Boldo tears.
Not the Boldo tears, exactly right. Thanks very much again, CK, for joining me, mate. It was really good having you. Much better than Boldo, I reckon. We did well. Maybe not as smooth, maybe not as crisp, but it was fun nonetheless. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening and coming along this journey. Really good of you. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.